How's it doing? So, as you see, I don't know what would you describe this country because, you know, it just gets worse and worse. Everything the government does over here in this country, it's just literally, it's like trains derailing 24 hours a day over here. Because everything they decide and everything they do, either fucks them over, right, and nothing's said about it, like what Leo done in leaking the document, for example. Nothing's going to be said about that. Nothing's going to be done about it. Again, Leo basically broke the law, and he's denying it, and he admits it that he's basically broke the law. And he said I could have leaked other documents, because again he's probably leaked other things to his friends and things like that. Um, and it's like again he admitted it, and it says it makes no sense. If that was in any other country, I'm sure in some countries they would get rid of him straight away. And it's very hypocritical, for example, that he made other people resign for lesser things, because again, this is pretty serious what he done. And again, nothing's going to be done about it. And people are demanding that he will resign, and the people are the over, basically are over the politicians. People vote him in, and they're voting the political class in, and they are saying to retire for him to resign. And nothing to be done about it. He won't be given a medal. He won't be given a pay rise. That's literally what to be done about it. It's just a country that just doesn't function. The white society, the how would I put it? The devil is basically in this country, and there's no way of putting it any simpler. Satan and the devil is literally in this country. Satan and the devil is the ones who are controlling this country, because everything that's happening, like honest to God, you wouldn't see it in hell. And I might as well say straight, you wouldn't see this kind of hypocrisy and corruption in hell. Like literally, if we died in the morning, every one of us and went to hell, it'd be a lot more honest society than up in the honest society, which I mean is Dáil Éireann and Shannon Éireann and the political class. Because again, my God, you couldn't make this up, really. You just honestly couldn't make this up. Like you look at this, I seen an image today, and it really just tells you everything. That they're boarding up the custom house, the arches in the custom house there, where people who are homeless can go in and sleep. At least they have a small bit of shelter. And I hate having to say that. I wish they had a house, somewhere where they can call home, because again, that's not much of a home in underneath the customs house, underneath the arches of the customs house, and they boarded it up. Isn't it great? Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, great people. They won't find any solution to put them into a house, put them into emergency come. They just lay them lying in the streets, lay them to die. And I hate having to say that. I really hate having to say that. Having to think of that. Having to think of them poor people just lying in the foot. Especially now, it's turned into the winter. It's freezing cold. It could snow. It's likely to snow soon because it's that freezing. And these people in Dáil Éireann wouldn't give them the time of day. Again, you think they would go out. If they had any decency, you think they would go out and meet the people who are homeless. But again, they're too busy in their high societies. Don't give time to the people. And it's a shame that they have to, basically barricade them out of it. And the place which is to give them a bit of shelter, and they force them onto the streets and the covered streets. And it just basically just tells you, they have no mercy, they have no humanity. They have no morals at all, and it's just pure evil what this government are doing to people. I could go on the Suffolk check. Like, my God, how evil. Again, trying to hide it and everything, and basically condemning women to death, with their mistakes the HSC cause and the government's lack. Like nobody's going to be held accountable. Like who's going to be held accountable to it? Like for example, the people who in the labs, nobody's been ever held accountable. And some people have to. One person that died, I can't think of the poor woman's name, but she died and she never got an apology. She never got an apology from the state saying that they failed her. And she died without an apology. At least the thing they could have done was give her an apology. At least said sorry, but it was incompatible again. It just goes to show you that they're just pure evil, the heads of this government, and the people that are in charge, of the HC and everything. They're just pure evil. The hospital trolleys and the people that are waiting for surgery and waiting years and years and years for surgery. People who win for different surgeries, and the politicians can get them in a day. Within a day, you can go in front of everybody. It's just it's shameful. It is really really shameful, this country, and it's just the devil's work. It really is the devil's work, this country. Especially the political class, because it's a sin. It really is a sin, and I don't even know. like, honest to God, I said this many times before. I don't even know what the people of 1916 when they were in the graves now. I don't know. They'd be like literally they couldn't spin anymore in the graves. I might as well say straight. With everything that's happened, I think they'd be spinning in the graves to see that they fought and died for this country. And to see what's happening at the moment, I'm sure they would nearly. Well, I say they wouldn't really say to themselves. I hate having to say it too, because again, I hate having to even think about this. But I say they would say to themselves, why did we bother? Why did we bother sacrificing ourselves for the greater good for this country to survive, and for this country to be free? I say they're debating that now in their graves and in heaven. I say that's what they're debating themselves, that they could have lived a better life. To see this country in the state of this, and to see that, again, that these politicians are literally like the royal family. They're accountable to nobody, and nobody can challenge them. And you basically get off with anything they want to do. I think they would. I think they would spin it. I think they have spin. I think they have spun. Over the last few years, I think they couldn't spin any more in the graves. Because again, with the O'Reilly's house, again, this is a pure example. Again, a part of our history just demolished, and again, the media talk about it for a day. Nothing was said about it. Though at least if that was years ago, there would have been public uproar. There would have been not a mighty uproar about it. The whole country would have probably went to civil war over it because of how bad the government handled it. And again, me whole Martin, sorry. You think he would have said to the people who were responsible, get on the boat, go away, never want to see in this country, get out of this country. You're the disgrace of this country, the people who demolished it, going at 6:30 in the morning, and basically just trying not to have anybody confront them or anything like that. And it's a very, very scummy thing to do, especially to a house that has such significance in the Irish Republican movement and in the Irish, Easter Rising. And to think about how not even, not one minister in Dáil said these people will be avenged, the sacrifices of these men, and the house itself and what they stood for. That house was a testament to them, their sacrifice, and to what they fought for. And it was just demolished, and nothing was said about it. The media talked about it for a few minutes. Nothing was said about it. Nothing was done, and it's still to this day the government and the city council up there. They're debating to bring them to law, but you think straight away they should have been. That should have been simple. They'd be thrown in prison, they'd be tried for treason, whichever. Again, it's clown world. It really is clown world, and I think every public peers, James Connolly. I think all of them would be thrown in the graves, to be honest, to see that happen. And to see everything happen at the moment, the housing crisis, all younger people nowadays, and I said in an earlier video, have no hope. They really have no house prices. Ridiculous. There's a house in Cavan Town I looked at, nearly €1,400 a week for wet. That's for wet, because there's that high in demand in the Cavan Town area for housing, for rented housing. That it's again, these young people coming out of college, trying to raise a family, trying to make a living, trying to make some kind of a life for themselves. And again, how could you do it? Yeah, €1,000 nearly for a house in Cavan Town. Trying to maybe go to Cavan University, Cavan Institute. How could you afford it? And then food, and you couldn't survive. You really couldn't survive in this country. Young people can't survive, and wouldn't blame them for going to Australia, for losing their best to Australia and to New Zealand, because they're making a life for themselves. They're making a living. In this country, the government really just want people to suffer. And it's pure and simple. They just want people to suffer. Again, with the businesses closed at the moment, I have the amount of business, the amount of people who are losing income, and are just struggling to pay the bills. I'm literally just an inch away from homelessness, an inch away from being evicted. And you see this, and you have to think to yourself, again, you wouldn't see this in hell. And I often do think to myself, that we are living in hell in this country. Because the devils are literally at work with the politicians. And you often cry really thinking about it, because you think about our history, think about 100 years ago, well, even 100 years, it was the Irish War of Independence, the anniversary of that heroic sacrifice, and how these people stood up against an almighty empire and took it on, and basically did win, because the British Empire couldn't keep control of the country because there was so much upheaval and so much unrest over what they did to the people in 1916 and what they did to the Irish people throughout the generations. They couldn't keep control, and basically the Irish Republican Army along the IRB did win, because again they were going to war for tactics and everything. And you think about, and this thing alone just tells you, it says a million words, that Charlie, our friend Charlie Flanagan, along with Leo, because again, this is a ridiculous thing to even say. Because again, I don't even think in England will remember the IRA. If we asked them to remember the IRA casualties in the Civil War, on the Irish War for Independence, or the Easter Rising, I think they will laugh with us. But to think about that they wanted to commemorate the Black and Tans. They wanted to have a day to commemorate the Black and Tans on the murderous rampage across Ireland, what they did to people. Like, you look up at what they did, burned towns, senselessly to the ground, shot at innocent civilians, killed innocent civilians, for no reason, just because they couldn't defeat the IRA. They just destroyed many towns, many villages, destroyed people's lives, killed people, mercilessly raped people. And again, these lunatics, Leo and Charlie, wanted to commemorate them. Commemorate is not even the word. Like, evil. Just pure evil. Like, I wouldn't even think about that if I had a gun to me head. If I was Taoiseach, I wouldn't even have thought of that. It wouldn't have come to my mind. I would have rather had a bullet through my head than even announce that, to say that we're thinking about commemorating the Black and Tans and the OIC. That tells you a million pictures. That tells you a million thoughts of these people. And even mention their name now in this country, the Black and Tans. Everybody would take back to the cruel punishment Irish people had to put up with the Black and Tans and their murderous rampage across the country. Still to this day, people shiver in their boots having to think about that, because of how evil they were and how much harm and how much devastation it caused to our people. And it just goes to show you, Irish society is literally run by the devil.